It had nothing to do with you. You didn't change. It was me. I changed.
You know I pride, but not pride myself on being solid. I recently discovered Sister Soldier in ways I didn't know she can get like. All I ever knew was the writer. I was like, wow. I realized I see a lot of me and her. We got the same fire. We all had a right to pursue whatever we feel is right? So I can do that too. I know that this path is lonely. I knew that going in. Alienation was bound to happen. But I do this for the real. Though I come from the dark, I'm a luminaire being. I'm a lead from the heart, so I radiate light. Nor melanin in my skin, no blend as is. Dark matter energy. Yo, peace everybody. This is another episode of Aki Speaks. I am here with my father. Yes, y'all heard me right. What's up, Dad? World. Say hey. It's Mr. Neil. We are gathered here today to talk about Africa and the latest things that's been developing. And it's come to our attention that Google has blocked them from internet access, or they're just they don't have access to the Google internet. So upon further research, I'm realizing that it's not all of Africa. See, it was a couple things I saw, like reels or whatever, saying like all of Africa has been banned off it's not all, but it's very strategic, the countries that has endured the ban. Those countries are Ethiopia, Zimbabwe, Nigeria, Tanzania, Chad, Guinea, Togo, Burundi, Mali, and apparently it's really just those countries ordering ISPs to limit the access to the subscribers. So in other words, the countries that want to silence or suppress freedom of speech, kind of like over here, they basically reach out to ISPs, internet service providers, and they have them limit the subscriber. It'll start with like your social media account and things of that nature on that level. But then the more severe punishments is that you get blocked altogether. Your service gets blocked altogether. And I don't know, I think it's like their attempt to stop the spread of like what's happening, to like disrupt any unity happening, right? Because the more like people that are against the system, rebelling, the more they have access to organize and communicate with each other, the harder it is for those tyrannical governments and corrupt governments, officials, and all of that stuff to keep a hold.
Right.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, the one thing that I also want to give a different perspective on is that even though you started off saying Google Internet, but you got to also look at the fact that it's at the request of those countries' government that wanted that to happen. And why did they want that to happen? Well, if you look at the list of countries you named, okay, these are countries that have either unrest or some semblance of unrest because of the people not happy for whatever reasons. And so when they do any kind of crackdown, one of the things they always go to is communication. Stop the ability of people organizing everything by stopping communication. So some of those countries you name, I know was having those kind of problems, and so I'm sure that's something that they put their hands on, was to stop people from communicating. Just like in the Ivory Coast, they was having unrest and problems, and one of the first things they did was shut down the internet. Nobody could get information in or out. And so it's more of those particular governments that authorize that than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, when you look at it, it almost seems like it's a faction within Africa that has like, the agenda of the French and the U.S. and they're colonizers. In other words, it
Hmm.
seems like it's a faction of them still in there. It's very similar to the same type of tactics they do over here. You know what I mean? How they do to us. It's crazy to
Hmm.
see those type of tactics have bled into our motherland. But here we are.
Here we are. Absolutely.
Nah.
Well, also take
Now,
into
uh-huh.
account, um, such a thing never was really used as much. But now, when you have the African population waking up, and
Mm-hmm.
once people get enlightened with information, there's no way you can make them go back to sleep because they have become aware. And so
Yeah.
now these governments are scrambling, trying to do what they can, but over time, something is going to have to give. Okay, and most time only it leads to some kind of change because people, especially over in Africa, they want their lives to improve because you still have people that don't even know what having electricity is, and that's just ridiculous with the world being in the 21st century. So eventually, people get to a point that they're not going to take no more, and they do what they got to do. But things has to change.
Facts. Facts. Um, yeah, and that's going to lead us into another. That's another episode, though, in the future about civil war, possibly needing to
Yes,
happen.
yeah, that's going to be
You
a
know what
big
I
topic
mean? It,
there.
it might need to happen.
Yeah, we probably going to just do a whole podcast on that alone. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Right.
All right. So, but what I am elated about is how innovative Africa is becoming.
Hmm.
Oh my goodness, the innovation is off the charts
Yeah,
with
you are absolutely
agriculture,
right.
technology.
Hmm.
You know, they up here using plants, not like a factory plant. No, I'm talking about plants. Okay, they are using plants to power things to get electricity from it's an energy source, and they do this by using electrodes apparently on the roots of the plants. What does that even look like? You know what I
Well,
mean?
actually, it's not too crazy as you think because uh, just like anything that lives, it exhibits some kind of energy. Plant life exhibits photosynthesis, and photosynthesis is a
Mm-hmm.
form of energy. And
Mm-hmm.
anything that can
Mm-hmm.
create a form of energy, you can get energy from, and that's what they're doing.
Right.
Of you
Yeah. I
know,
mean, it makes sense in essence.
yeah.
It's crazy to us over here because it's like, well, what the fuck is we doing? You know.
Well, no, because unfortunately, what it is, it's a different of how things are looked at. We live in the West, and you look at like a lot of the European countries that still wants Africa to be colonies. They are capitalists, okay, and so therefore they look at things strictly from one perspective: what can make the most money. Okay, it's all
Mm-hmm.
about making the money, and so generating or thinking about being innovative of getting energy, clean energy, if you will, from using photosynthesis, whatever, it don't sound sexy and it's not a big money maker. You see,
Mm-hmm.
They doing it for greed, where Africa is doing it because it's necessary. It's a need. And
Mm-hmm.
so those are two different perspectives of how it's being looked at. Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
then along with the innovation, let me just say, so like Ibrahim Traore took, he came into power in September 2022. At that time, he was the youngest president of the history of Burkina Faso, and he was the first president in the history of Burkina Faso. Okay, that was that age, and it turns out that he also was the youngest world leader of a country in the world at the same time. And because of his youth, he was
Okay.
immediately discredited of being taken seriously. And so they looked at him like, well, here's another
Mm-hmm.
young coup leader that just rushed in for power. We'll give him the play ball, and we just do the same thing was doing. He never was taken seriously. And it was all because he was a young
Mm-hmm.
black leader, and they just took it for granted.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 3 years later, I think now they know that they are playing with somebody different, and the perspective of that, yeah, it has
Right.
messed up the whole game plan of how they um, are treating them right now. So here's the thing about what he has done for the time that he's been in power for 3 years. Okay, and again, it just blows my mind. Okay, so and so it turns out when I researched this, it's a long list, and it blows my mind because he's only been in power for 3 years, but he has done things that normally would take a leader 15 years to accomplish, and he's already doing stuff within 3 years. Okay, for that amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's talk about the manufacturing and industry section. Okay, well, before he came to power, almost everything that Burkina Faso needed, it had to be imported.
Mm-hmm.
Even things that they might harvest themselves, they had to sell to other countries, import to other countries at a low cost, and then buy it back as a finished product at a much higher cost. Crazy,
Right.
right? All right.
Right.
Well,
Right. So you see the
he done
game.
flipped the
Yep.
script on all that. All right. So first of all, they are already locally producing electric vehicles. Okay. So they already got that script going. Okay.
Let's
All
go,
right.
Africa.
Yeah. Okay. Then he domesticated the gold refinery aspect of the business. So that was a big one because before that you had all these private companies from that was basically represented by mainly France that were just
Mm-hmm.
scooping up gold like crazy, and I'm talking about tons and tons and tons of gold and taking it
Mm-hmm.
back and giving Burkina Faso literally pennies on the dollar. Okay, he ended
Yep.
that. Okay,
Yep.
and that's a whole nother
Yep.
episode. But France was really had their panties in a bunch on that one. Okay, and then once he took control, he then turned around and nationalized all mining in the country, and that's it. That's all minerals, and that's diamonds, everything. So all mining in the country, he nationalized it. The
Mm-hmm.
government controls it. No more foreign interest scoops anything out of Burkina Faso. No more, unless it's under their terms. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They the first West African country that started doing processing plants, and right now they have let's see, they got tomato processing plants, they got cotton processing plants, they got cashew processing plants. I mean, they just sprouting up all this stuff, and this is only within 3 years. It's unbelievable. Okay.
Right. Right.
Here's another one. They are now to the point of making their own stuff. They're making their own uniforms. They actually now are manufacturing clothes. So they pick the damn cotton. They manufacture the cotton to where it can turn into making clothes. And now they're making their own clothing, uniforms, and everything. They don't have to buy outside of their country no more. Damn. That's man, I'm telling you.
Did not know that.
Yeah, that's just unbelievable. Okay, the other sector, technology and digital infrastructure. Okay, right now, you know, like most African countries, they still have, a lot of villages, right? And you still have a lot of your population that lives under the poverty level, and they are not skilled, they undereducated, so literacy is a big problem. So you have a problem where almost 2/3 of your population is illiterate in terms of technology, right? Well, they done created all kind of initiatives to address that with their people, right?
Okay.
So they call it Digital Literacy and Skills Initiative, right? The government plans to train its citizens, okay, to acquire digital knowledge and skills, okay? They also created another thing that's called the digital curriculum, and it's going to now this one is for, so that's like the basic level that I described. He laid out stuff where it progresses them to different levels, so they are rising. They just not learning this one thing and staying there. No.
Right.
This boy, he got them. Now they're gonna learn how to do coding, robotics, electronics, AI, and this initiative is going to start teaching children from the age of 5, okay, all the way up to 19, to learn these more advanced
listen, that's how the Chinese do.
Yeah.
We the only ones over here in America that everything is so late. It's like late blooming, like later on in life. When in all other countries, the Indians, all of them, and Indonesians, Indians, they all early, and wonder why we're falling behind in every damn thing.
The difference is, even though India also was colonized, also, but they was able to get that off their back before Africa was. I mean, we're talking like 100 years. They had a head start, so they had the benefit because of that, of time, of getting back on their feet and being better in that regard. Africa just now starting to rise on that, so they way behind in the race game, if you will, as far as that's concerned. They still playing catch up. They also got a thing that's called innovation hubs. Okay, this is going to establish innovation hubs and fabrication labs. Okay, and they're going to provide access, okay, to digital fabrication. Okay, so they're going to be doing 3D printing and carrying on. They are not playing around. But here's the thing that's gonna, you never seen this coming. I can promise you ain't never seen this one coming. You know what they're getting ready to do I think by next year, daughter?
No.
They're getting ready to go into space. They're getting ready to launch their own damn satellite.
Oh man. Nah,
who does that?
For real?
Who does that? Who they gonna have their own satellite? I'm like, what?
Nobody stopping me.
Man,
they mad as hell.
And the reason, and so having their own satellite is a reason for that. It ties into the other thing. So the security of their country, right?
Yeah.
So they have this thing that's called smart Burkina surveillance, right? This has been so effective. So they have drones and all this kind of stuff. So now fighting the jihadists and insurgents or whatever, they got eye in the sky now, and they winning these battles now. It's a whole different game. Yep. Once they get a satellite, it makes everything, it multiplies their capabilities about 100 times.
Right.
It becomes ridiculous. They'll be able to see a dime on the ground. I mean, this is what we're talking about, right? When it comes to defense and security, they are now have the ability. They done built their own plants and they are producing their own weapons. They are domestically making their own weapons now. No more begging countries to buy their guns and whatever. They making that their self. Okay, they modernize their military now. And so they got this new division of mobile brigades, and the way they can get from point A to point B now is just at flying speed. It's unbelievable. Before they never had an air force. Now they have that capability.
You heard anything else about the parachuting?
Huh?
You heard anything else about the parachuting?
Oh yeah, well they done perfected that now. So that's just the thing they can do now. They jump behind your button. They be waiting on you. They already done claimed back about let's see, another 13% of their country. He's expecting to have Burkina Faso 100% back in another year. Meanwhile, before he came to power, they've been losing territory for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And he done gained so much of it back and expect to get it almost all back by next year. I'm just saying, you just look at the comparison. It's not even close to what he's doing. Okay.
Yeah.
Agriculture. Okay. Well, first he invested in what they call weather tools. So it's like, what do that mean? Well, how we have the ability to see like hurricanes coming, droughts, the weather, climate change, and all that. They don't have that capability. They just know, oh shit, it didn't rain for a month, whatever. Now they'll be able to predict where they stand in terms of the climates and be able to react to it before it becomes a tragic situation. They done give them a brand new capability they never ever had before.
Yeah. Oh, and them charging shoes allow you to walk, and your phone will be charging while you walking.
Oh wow!
That was invented by a Kenyan.
Wow!
Oh yeah. Listen, man,
they do anything in Africa.
That movie Black Panther, I'm telling you, it is not far from being on some type of level of accuracy.
Right.
You hear about the black girl over there that created a hologram? What was it? A holographic, some kind of device.
Yeah, we need to get a deeper dive into that. The other thing too is that they created their first state-owned bank. Also, they created their first regional university hospital. They doing major road construction. Their country had only 3,000 miles of road in the history of the country. And you can't even imagine, only 3,000 miles. They are laying down so much road now that in another year, you won't even recognize Burkina Faso. You won't recognize it. Yeah. They up and coming. Yep. They are creating a major rail line that will connect them to the other AES states, which is Mali and Niger.
I heard about that. Yeah.
And, so where you would take days to get from one country to another, it'll take only hours. So
beautiful.
I'm just saying, I can stop right
there. Yeah, because like when they cut the aid off and all of that stuff, it really made them push to be more independent. And so it just went in overdrive because then it became like a matter of something to prove. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Well, the reason why they was able to do these things is because they no longer dependent on that aid that really was set up for them to fail.
Anyway.
Because it's designed to keep them in a hole of dependency.
Yeah, it's like here's this aid package, but it was always something on the back end that they had to take a loss on or something.
Well, the first part of
that in the game.
The first part of the so-called aid package, it was in that phony money that I call it the phony money that they have to use for currency, right? So just imagine you have your own money. No, just imagine I give you money with conditions. I give you money with conditions, And then you say, okay, I need to use some of my money. Well, you have to pay a fee on that money, even though it's really your money. But because
It's
I'm the
kind
one
of similar to 401ks, right?
yeah, but because I'm the one that's issuing the money for you, you have to pay a fee to use your money. And so they already at a loss just from that perspective alone. And then when you add in the fact that they have to pay a higher cost for everything they do to function as a country, you'll never get ahead. Never. You're always working from behind, and that's by design to keep you down. So we'll be doing another future episode of talking about, how they cutting the ties from that and making their own currency. They are doing all kinds of things to rise as a nation of people, and you got to be proud. If somebody wants more information on all the various topics that we just discussed, okay, I can leave information for them to in the content line.
Okay. All right, this concludes our podcast today, you guys. Ibrahim Traore, The Rise of Africa. Stay tuned for the next one. Thank you, Dad, for sitting in on this with me.
Sure. My pleasure.
All right. Look forward to the next one. Peace, everybody. Ashe.
Peace.
It's sealed our fate. All we can do is wait. Prepare for the day. Freedom will stay. Peace will be the way that we all obey. The sun will shine and purify. It's sealed our face. All we can do is wait. Prepare for the day. Freedom will stay. Peace will be the way that we all obey. The sun will shine and purify.
The first beings were plasmic feminine consciousness, fluid, radiant, and self-replicating light beings, what I call the daughters of the waters. They carried the codes of creation within themselves. They were the architects of life.